Well, hello and a very good evening to you, and thank you for tuning in one more time to All Access Pass. I'm your cruise host, Jason, and today I am very, very excited to have on this stage a man who, let's be honest, I could go on and on about him, but I'm going to let him do it for himself. Please welcome the one and only Mr. Freddy Boom Boom Cannon.
Hello, everybody.
Mr. Cannon, thank you so much for taking the time to be
My pleasure, my pleasure.
I love it.
I've had a lot of fun with these people.
I think these people have had a lot of fun with you.
Yeah.
What do you think? Did you catch Freddy the other day?
We're family. That's, it isn't even an artist. It isn't even, they're not even fans. It's like a family and friends. And I mean that, guys. You know that. You see me upstairs and we talk. But I know he wants to get, all right?
No.
I love you guys. I really do. I have fun, more fun than you do. I'm telling you.
Actually, I'd like to just kind of tie off of that for a moment.
All right.
We were talking a little bit back there before this, and you mentioned how you feel about not only this era of music, but also how you feel about this fandom, if you will. And you were saying about family. Would you mind elaborating just a tiny bit on what you think it is? What's the relationship between the artist and the fans?
Well, it should be what we've been doing. I mean, I think if I stood up, and it'll be off the camera, but I know that most of you people have come up to me and said hello. And that's, every artist should be nice to you. I mean, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here. I mean, whoever thinks they're bigger than life and made it just because they're so good, they're wrong. They're dead wrong. Because it's a little bit of luck, right, a little being at the place at the right time, and being nice to people. Because when it's all over, they're going to remember. They leave an impression. And when I just said to all of you, and I hope the people upstairs who aren't down here, you can tell them all for me that thank you. You guys have been wonderful. You really have. I mean, we have some fun. Yeah.
And I think it's safe to say, though, that, for lack of better terms, an attitude like that is what keeps you humble. It's what keeps your feet on the ground.
Right.
And it's what beyond your music, which is the obvious, what's the obvious draw to you. Who you are is what keeps you as popular as you still are today, which is a huge testament to yourself.
Well, let me just say, my mom, and I told you guys on the stage if you came to the show, my mom and I wrote Tallahassee Lassie. She wrote a poem. I put the music to this poem. It was about my wife, Jeanette, who's back there. It was called She's My Rock and Roll Baby. Okay? That was the first title. We wrote that, right? And this is what she said. And I'm saying it, Mom, you're up there. I love you.
She's not on deck 9. He doesn't mean she's like upstairs. God love her, God rest her soul.
She said to me, and I'm going to say it to all of you, because this is for all of you guys, relates to you. She said, Freddie, who's going to make you if you get big? Strangers, not your family, strangers. Now, you understand what I'm saying? But you're not strangers, but in one way you are, because you didn't know me before personally. And you thank you, and thank you. I mean that. Thanks, Mom.
Now, you mentioned, obviously, you mentioned the start of your career there with your mother giving you some advice and helping you write Tallahassee Lassie, which I think is a phenomenal story.
Right.
How does it all begin? How do you become Freddy Boom Boom Cannon? Where does the music start to take over, and where do you realize you want to do this?
I think, like around 12, 13 years old, I was starting to play. I had a ukulele, and I played, and I listened to Hank Williams. I loved Hank Williams. For some reason, we had a country music station in Boston, and I could hear this. And this Hank Williams music, and I know a lot of people know who he is, and they probably loved him too. His music and songs were like rock and roll records. Even though they're supposed to be country, they were rock records. They were like rhythm and blues records. Move It On Over is definitely, it's been covered by different artists. It inspired me. Now, a little later on, my mom again, buys me this cheap electric guitar. We couldn't afford it because we lived in an apartment in Revere, Massachusetts. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to sing and do this and have fun, and not knowing that this would all start up again. So the one day, as I just said, I come home from I was working after school, and I come home, and she wrote this poem. Now, Jeanette and I were dating, and we would break up, and then we go back together, and we break up. I mean, I'm being honest with you.
She's shaking her head back
and
there.
so she writes this poem called "She's My Rock and Roll Baby. She Drives Me Crazy." That was the first lines of the song, because I loved her, and I still do. And what happens is, from that, I just get the guitar. Let's see if you can put some music to this song, to these lyrics. So I start playing and I start singing, "She's my rock and roll baby," and it's Tallahassee Lassie, and it's the same thing. I said, "Oh my!" She had dances to the bop and all these dances in there because she likes to dance, right? One thing led to another. I go to a studio. I cut this song, and for $35 out of my own money from working. This is the truth. I cut for $35 in Boston at Ace Recording Studios. I cut the song, hit the record, get the tape, and I give it to a guy named Arnie Woo Woo Ginsberg in Boston. He's on the radio. That's his name.
Woo.
Arnie Woo, right?
Oh, Woo Woo.
He gets the record, he gets the tape, and he puts it on. He said, "Let me hold this tape, Freddie. I want to give it to a couple of producers named Frank Slay and Bob Crew." Now, Bob Crew is a big producer. He produced all the Four Seasons records, who's going to be here tomorrow, all the Frankie Valli records. Him and Bob Gaudio did them all. They wrote them all and produced them. So this is before the season, so I'm going 1959. So he gets the tape, and they bring it to New York City. They listen to the tape. He says, "Yeah, I don't know. What should we do?" And whatever they did, I didn't know. I'm still in Boston, right? This is happening. They go to Philadelphia to Swan Records, and I guess what happened was every weekend or maybe once a month, they would go to Dick Clark's house and have dinner. And they bring records over there for him to listen to see if he liked them. He had good ears, okay? So they bring this demo record of me, all right? And they got 11 records. Because Bernie Bennett at Swan told me he bought 11 records over there. On the bottom of the pile was me. So he plays the records, and he gets to the bottom. He says, "Who's this kid?" He said, "Oh, this is Freddie Piccarello. That's my real name, from Boston."
Freddie Boom Boom Piccarello.
Piccarello, right? Italian, right? He said, if you could add a bass drum, this is Dick saying this, going boom 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 in the record. He said, "You're going to have a hit." He said, "This could be a smash." They took it back to the studio. They put a bass drum in. Bob Crew used a mallet, and there's a big bass drum, and he's back to put it on the record. Right. So the next thing I know, I'm still in Boston. The next thing I know, I get a call from Swan Records in Philadelphia saying, "Freddie, what we're going to do, we're going to release a record and send you a box of records of this Tallahassee Lassie." I said, "Well, okay." So they send the record. My mother gets the records. I'm working at a paint store after school, delivering paint, okay? I go home for lunch. She said, "The record, listen to this record." I listened to it. I said, "This is awful, Ma. This is terrible. This is going to put this record on the street. I don't like it. It's not good." She says, "Let it go. That's okay." Arnie Gould gets the record. Arnie Gould Ginsberg gets the record and plays it every hour on the hour. And he's playing left and right. Here's a kid from Boston. We're going to give him a nickname. First they called me Freddie Cannon Shot from Guns. Then they called me Peter Gunn's daddy, Freddie Cannon. And then they said Freddie Boom Boom Cannon. And that stuck. And that's the whole story, guys. Telling you. That's it.
We are going to be right back with more from this fabulous gentleman right here. Don't turn the channel. More with Freddie Boom Boom Cannon when we come back. Hey, thanks for not turning the channel. Here we are with more All Access Pass with the one and only Freddie Boom Boom Cannon. Now, we just left off talking kind of about the beginning of your career, how you became Boom Boom Cannon. Who were some of your idols? Who inspired you growing up?
Oh, I sing a couple of them in my show. The early blues records, blues like Big Joe Turner. I do Shake, Rattle, and Roll. I do his version. Chuck Berry was like, and I worked with Chuck Berry a lot. I mean, I did a lot of shows with him, and he inspired me to be on the stage. When I watch this guy, I've seen a lot of artists and worked with a lot over these years. For some reason, he's the only artist, Chuck Berry, that could, when he was in his prime, that when I watched him, he could dance, sing, and play lead of the guitar across the stage. Nobody else could do that. Nobody. That's why the guy's such a legend. He could do everything. If you've never seen Chuck Berry in his prime, you missed out, because this guy was unbelievable. I mean, I could stare at him from the wings off the show, and that's why I learned a lot of things by watching him. So, and his records, and he wrote all his songs, and it was just great. But I got to tell you, on this ship, one more thing. There's a guy called Little Fats. Have you seen him? That Little Fats guy's going to be working a lot. He's really good. And Fats Domino doesn't work anymore, so, you know, it's good to have somebody like that, you know.
By the way, shameless plug, Al is on tonight. If you're interested, Al is on the pool deck tonight doing a pool set for us, the beach party. So if you want to come check him out. If you haven't, I couldn't agree more. He's fantastic.
Right.
So in your early career, there was a couple different, there was the Spindrifts, the G-Clefs, the Hurricanes.
Yeah, yeah.
And those were all you. And how did you finally...
Well, my band was it was Freddy, Carmen, and the Hurricanes. They changed, the record label changed it to Cannon. They didn't think Carmen was so universal. So it was Freddie, because my dad had to play trumpet. He had a band called the Freddie Carmen Orchestra, 4 pieces, and they played
4-piece orchestra.
weddings,
That's
and they played, yeah, right. So
just a wee one.
So and then the Spindrifts was a vocal group I was in, and we had a record called Cha Cha Do, and the record was on Ace Records, and then ABC Paramount picked it up, and it did pretty good around Massachusetts, and then. The Spindrifts were a group, the G-Clefs were a group from Roxbury, Massachusetts. I was playing record hops with them. This is before I started. This was like 1956 I was playing. And I played on their record called Ka-Ding Dong. It was a big hit on the charts. It was like number 3 or 4 back. People that collect records will know. They can look it up on your computer. And I played guitar on the record. That even got me more interested to be in this business. I just liked it. And everybody wants it. You know, you want something like this. I'm sure you have kids and family and somebody you know that loves music and tries to get it. And I want to just say, you said you've seen people in clubs and everything say, what a great singer that guy is. How come he hasn't made it? Or how come that band over there hasn't made it? And I'm going to give you the secret right now. And there's only one word, secret. The song. If you don't have the song, I don't care who you are. I don't care how good you sing or how good you play. It's the song, period. Well, my mom and I wrote Tallahassee Lassie. That was it. It was the song, not Freddie. It had to be there. See, that's what it is. That's the key for anybody.
And would you take that the other direction as well and say there are some people who have made it due to the song that may not be as talented as a lot of individuals who never found their song? I feel like there's a lot of acts. Maybe there's the one hit with the big one-hit wonders and the people that have hit at one point because a song just resonates and it's so big, and then you just never hear from them again.
Yeah, you mean they have one hit and that was it. Yeah, that happens, and I think it probably happens because, first of all, maybe the label didn't get behind them, or they didn't write another song. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's always the song.
You got to keep. It's always a song. The third record, the third song, a third record, when you get into the recording business or get into music, is the key to being around. You need to get that third record. For me, it was Way Down Yonder, New Orleans. The record was a smash. I mean, this record was huge in England. It was like number 1 for 15 weeks in England. So the record went real big, and that's what it was. And then after that, I had a lot of records I'm not singing on this show, but you guys wouldn't probably know some of them.
Well, you mentioned how big it was in England, and around 1960, you did your British tour, and that's around the same time that your record went to #1 on the UK charts. First
Right.
time a rock and roller had ever done that.
No, I had an album was #1.
The whole album was.
Yeah, I beat Elvis Presley. I knocked him out, and Elvis is monstrous.
And that was
I had
just a
#1
personal line.
I had #1 album and the #1 record. I mean, he was like #2 or 3 on the British charts. So, how lucky can I be? I need a piece of wood to knock on. Yeah. I really do. I mean, that was something. I really was. So, like I said, there's a lot of luck involved. A lot of things happen, and it is like back to the song. You need those songs to do it, And I was lucky to have Palisades Park in '62 later on. That even brought me to another level. So, thanks to you guys, it kept happening for me. And he must have been watching, and my mom's watching over me. I know she is. I keep looking up there. She's up there.
A healthy fear of your mother is important in life. I hear.
She really is.
Yeah.
And if anybody forgets their mom, they're stupid. you gotta love mom.
It's all about the
Mom
mother.
brought you in this world. That's it. I don't care.
Mom's brought you in this world, and as many of them will tell you, they'll also take you back out of it.
No, Dad'll take you back
Dad will
out.
take you out. Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned Palisades Park a
Yeah.
couple of times, and was that co-written or written by Chuck Barris?
It was written by Chuck Barris, who did the Gong Show.
Gong Show.
For people that don't know, he had a lot of game shows. When he wrote the song, what happened was he was friends with the owner of Swan Records, and they were friends. And he called one day and he said, Bernie on the phone. He said, "Do you know where I can reach Dion, who's going to be on this ship? Next year?"
Next year.
Right. He said, "I want to reach Dion. I want to send him this song." So Bernie said, "Well, what kind of song is it?" He says, "Well, it's called Amusement Park." That was the original title. He said, "Was it an up-tempo, fast?" Yeah. He says, "Yeah." He said, "Why don't you send it over? I got an artist over here. Let's see if I got a guy named Freddy Cannon. Maybe we can, see if it sounds good with him." So he sends a sheet music over, and Frank Slay sat down at the piano and started to play this. And this was in Philadelphia. And he sits down and plays the piano in the office. And he's playing. He says, "Well, let's see." Then Bob Crew came in. Listen, he says, "I don't like the title," and they changed it to Palisades Park because he lived in New York City and used to go over there, right? So he wanted to zero in on a place, So they changed it to that. The next thing I knew, in 3 days, I'm in the studio. And on the back side of Palisades Park is a record called June, July, and August, which I wrote. And I told them, this is the hit. June, July, and August. Never mind this Palisades Park. When you send the record out, exit with they exit. See, the A side, they exit. Remember the 45s? They exit June, July, and August. That's great. We're going to have a hit, man. Now, Freddy wrote another song. It's going to be a hit. The guy in Flint, Michigan, named, I can't remember, Bob Dell. He was in Flint, Michigan on the radio, WTAC, played Palisades Park by accident. He forgot to flip the record over. The phones all lit up. They were going crazy. Kids were going, "Who's this guy? Who is this?" I said, and from then on, it's a snowball. One little station, went by a mistake, started it. Yeah,
What a
that's
great
the truth.
story that is.
That's the truth.
What a great story.
It's a song,
Do not turn the channel. We'll be back with more All Access. Hey, welcome back. Here we are with our last segment of All Access Pass with the one and only Freddy Boom Boom Cannon. All right, Freddie, we open the third segment to the audience, so to speak.
Okay.
Questions from the audience. They put
All right.
together, my lovely wife, Brittany, walked around out there, and she solicited for some questions. And here's a few for you. Feel
Okay.
free to ignore them if you don't like them. Jim, all the way from Georgia, says, "Freddie, we love you. Curious, in your concerts, why don't you sing more of your own songs?"
No, there was no time. I would have loved to have done more. I got to do Transistor Sister, Chattanooga Shoeshine Boy. There's a lot of records I could have done. Abigail Beecher, you know what I'm saying? And then for the collectors, I play guitar on Buzzer Diddlet and Abigail Beecher. I would have loved to, but there's no time. Everything's like, it's got to be at
Segmented.
price, because of so many acts and so much time. But one day I'm going to be around. Like I always say on the stage, someday when you least expect it, I'll come and we'll do them all.
June,
One
July,
day we
August,
will.
they'll be
We
right
will.
there.
I'll
Yeah.
do them.
Julie, all the way from Dayton, Ohio, says, how did you start your woo in each song that became one of your trademarks? ... By the way, we love you.
Oh, I love you too. I love all you guys. The way I got the woo, we had a trombone player. no.
Some jokes
We
are
had a
just
bad
meant for yourself,
trombone.
by the way.
No,
Some
I'm
jokes.
only kidding. What happened was Bob Cruz said when he did Tallahassee, I went in to record it again in New York City. We got to, had to fix my voices on some of the things, and he said in between each, when we get through with a line, can you scream, through the lines? So I went, wow. He said, no, I don't like that. And I kept doing it. I went, woo. He said, that's the one. He said, every time you do this, I want you to do it woos. That's the way it started. Yeah, that's the way that started. Yeah.
Dawn from Philadelphia, PA.
Yeah.
What year did you record Way Down Yonder, and how old were you when you recorded it?
I was a baby. I was a little baby.
Just
no,
a wee baby.
I recorded it, and it was the end of 1959, right after Tallahassee. And I had a record called Okie Finokie, which the collectors might know. Between Tallahassee and Way Down Yonder was that second record. That third record, which I said, kept me going, was late '59, going into 1960, and that's when the record. That was that a gentleman that had that
Yep.
question? Is he here still?
Where is Dawn? There he is.
Where?
He's back there.
He said he danced to that record. Get over here. Come down here and show them how you dance to that record, and I'll sing it for you.
Don't do it.
Come on. Okay, get him down here. Come on. Come on. Come on.
You don't get this every day, Dawn.
Come on. Come on, Don. We got no band. I'm going to sing it without the band. Here we go.
Come
if
down
you
and take
dance it,
front-
I'll sing it.
Take your front and center spot there, Dawn, and whatever you do, don't screw up the steps.
Here we go. Ready? I'm going to do the band, and you guys. I said, away down yonder in New Orleans, in the land of the dreamy scenes, there's a Garden of Eden, and you know what I mean. Yes, Creole babies with flashing eyes, softly whisper with tender sighs, and then you stop. Now, won't you look at he even bumps him. All right, that's enough. That's enough. All right. Hey, let's give him a hand.
Yeah,
Hey. That's a first. You don't see that all the time. Not on this television show.
No.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for dancing.
Nicely done. Dawn, you can move. I mean, your wife made you look good. but
Did you see how
can move.
he was doing the bump
He
with
had the
her?
bump in there.
He
yeah.
did everything.
It was borderline inappropriate. I saw it. It was.
Hey, just let me get one thing for
What's
you
that?
guys. Just let me say one thing before you do one more question.
Sure.
We were talking about the Lido deck or in the dining room, and I want you to tell your friends the same thing. When you see me, I'm just going to speak for me, okay? Don't be afraid or ashamed to come up to me and talk to me and ask me questions. I love you to do that, okay? So please, because some people say, I don't want to bother Freddy. Bother me. I don't care. I like you to do it. I love you, okay? That's all I want to get that out of the way.
That
Go ahead.
attitude is why you became the star
That's
you
it.
became,
I
sir.
love it.
Dawn's not
Wow,
happy
what
with.
big feet you have.
Thank you, sir. Don't make me answer this question like Donald Trump. I can't answer like Donald Trump. That's
All right,
why.
go ahead.
Don is happy with the dance, but he said he just yelled back. But how old were you when you recorded it?
I was like 19 years
19
old.
when you
Yeah,
recorded, 19.
yeah. Yep.
Such a baby.
That's a little baby.
Dave, all the way from L.A., says, did you actually go to Palisades Amusement Park before it was demolished?
Yes, I did. I did shows there. If you're in the New York, New Jersey area, you probably know. I did
American
it in
Bandstand?
59, in 61, 62, 63, and 64. When Palisades come out. That's another story. I don't know if you get time to do these stories.
We always have time.
All right, here's the story. I went to Palisades Park. A little guy named Irvin Rosenthal and his wife owned Palisades Park. He used to smoke a big cigar Okay, a little guy, a little Jewish man.
That's very small for the record.
Very small. So I go to Palisades Park with Bernie Bennett, who owns Swan Records. We go there because he wanted to see. And we walk in, and they're piping my song record all through the park. You can hear it. The last night I took, it's going crazy in there, right? We walk in, they go to his office in the park. Freddy, I love you. Oh, he's going crazy. I'm so glad you're here. Is anything you want? Have anything you want. What do you want? You want stuffed dolls? You want this? You want anything you want.
Have
is
anything
yours.
you want from the
it's
third
all
row.
You said you put me on the map. He said everybody's coming here. I said beautiful. Bernie Bennett says that we only want one thing. Okay, now the New York people and New Jersey will know. There's a guy on radio named Murray the K. Now listen, this is a good story. You're gonna like this. Bernie says to Irving, Murray the K is not playing Palisades Park. Now Palisades Park has got a bullet on Billboard, which is the charts, means it's climbing fast. It's number 4 with a bullet, ready to go up to number 1, right? So he's not playing it. He doesn't like the record. He said he doesn't like it. So Irving Rosenhaus says, wow. He says, okay, hold on. He said he picks up the phone and he calls the station. He has a direct line to Murray the K's on the air. He picks up the phone and he calls. He says, "Hey Murray, this is Irving over at Palisades Park." He says, "Are you playing Freddie Cannon's Palisades Park?" And on the other end, I couldn't hear the thing, but he's saying, "No." I said, I'm not playing the record. I don't like the record," or whatever he said to Irving, right? So Irving says, "Switch me over to the switchboard." So now he switches over the switch and he talks to the manager of the radio station. Now here's the story. Irving advertises $100,000 a year on WMCA. You're getting the picture now, right?
Yeah. Up
what?
Next.
Yeah. So he $100,000 on his to advertise Palisades Park. He says to the manager, I guess he talked to him, and whoever he was, and he said, "Okay." And they hung up. We turn back on to hear Murray the K. Murray the K comes on and says, "What a great record. Here it is, Palisades Park." That's true. He's turning over in his grave, I'm telling you. Man, I'm stories.
Tom, all the way from Phoenix, says, "How did it become about you singing the theme song for Dick Clark's show? And could you discuss a little bit about your friendship with Dick Clark?"
Oh, okay. Dick was a great. We did a lot of shows together. I did. He's talking about where the action is, and I sang the theme. What happened was the song. We'll go to the song first. The song was sent over to Del Shannon. Del's a friend of mine. He lived in California, but he didn't like to do it. He didn't think it was his kind of a record song, you know. So I guess they let Paul Revere sing it because they were the host, and Dick didn't like their version. Then he must have got a brainstorm and said, "This is a Freddie Cannon record. This is the guy that should sing this song. It's like a real rocker and let it go, you know." So he sends it over to Warner Brothers, who I had signed with Warner Brothers then. And Dick Glasser, the producer, said, "Freddie," he calls me up. I'm living in L.A. now. And he says, "Come on over to Burbank." He says, "I want you to hear this song. We only have 10 days to record this song." He said, "Because it's a Dick Clark theme song. It's going to go on the air in 10 days. I said, "Wow." All right, so I go in his office, and he's got a tape of Tommy Boyce. See, Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart, who wrote for the Monkees, wrote this song, Where the Action Is. Okay, so I go over there, and he puts this tape on, and they're singing this song with the music. I already had the music. The band was done. So he puts it on, and I said to Dick Glasser, I said, "Dick, play it one more time." The second time he played it, I was singing it. He said, "Let's go cut it. Let's go right to the studio." He said, "Because I know you can do this song." And we booked the studio time. The next day, I was in United Western in Hollywood, cut the record. And on this record is Glenn Campbell on the record. Glenn Campbell, James Burton, who plays for Elvis, Leon Russell. It was called the Wrecking Crew. There was a movie or a documentary, well, they were all on that record. Those guys, that's the guys on that record playing where the action is. So, one thing leads to, like I said, it's luck. Hey, hello, hello. So, there again, it's the song. If it works, and that's the way it goes. So, I always give credit that way. I've been at the right place at the right time. So, but and what was the other part of that question? You had two parts.
Describe your relationship with him.
Oh, with Dick. He was a real perfectionist, Dick Clark. We did a show, and his idea of doing a live rock and roll show in his mind was like this. And I think it's similar to what these guys are doing on the Malt Shop. When you do your show, make sure you do your hits. He said, do the hits. He said, and do everything that everybody knows. Don't do songs that you just wrote that nobody knows. Nobody cares. If it ain't a hit, why do it? Do something, am I right? You want to know, you want to hear something that you know. And he's right. He said, do hits, right? Don't come out there and sing album cuts and everything else. It's foolish. And I took that advice, and that's what I've been doing all the time. I'll always do things that you know that reminisce with people. That's where you got to go.
That's great advice. It's not shockingly from Dick Clark.
Right.
I'm getting the wave that we've just gone over our 10 here. Well, we've actually obliterated our 10. So
I figured that.
No, it's good. I apologize. We're not going to get to a couple last questions, but there is one last one here that I think you should probably hear. This is from Dick from California. He says, "Did you know your fly is open?" Just kidding. Ha ha ha. We love you.
Where is that guy?
Ladies and gentlemen, please help me thank this absolutely fascinating, talented, wonderful human being, Freddy Boom
love
Boom
you.
Cannon. Thanks for tuning in, my friends. For All Access Pass, we'll see you again tomorrow.